The man from the Daily Mail is joining us at The Informer. His name is Wayne Flower. He does it each and every week, or when he can, when he's not on a special assignment, and travelling the state doing a whole bunch of different things. Now, are you obliged to pursue and follow all the current lockdown restrictions?
No.
Or do you have this unique work permit that allows you to get out and about?
I have the unique work permit, and I've been asked for it from Victoria police officers.
Is that right?
Yeah, quite often.
Okay, is that because you put yourself in harm's way and you end up in places like Ballarat, for example?
Well, yeah, Ballarat, but I was in, last week I was in Dandenong where the walkers were coming under fire from police, and then I was in
What did you make of the protests last week?
In Dandenong, they were being a bit cheeky, but I did feel some sympathy for them when I saw particularly a gentleman get sprayed in the face with pepper spray by a policeman. I mean, normally that stuff is reserved for really violent crooks, and it didn't appear...
Who are wielding weapons.
That's right. I mean,
do you know why he was pepper sprayed?
Well, the person I saw on that video, it appeared that an officer had asked him to stop.
Yep.
Because, of course, police are allowed to stop and ask you who you are, where you're going,
correct.
are you 5 kilometres from your home. This gentleman
chose not to answer.
Well, he kept walking, and he did tell that officer to F off.
Uh-huh.
And he copped a face full of capsicum spray for his efforts, and was arrested.
So what story did you now find yourself this week? That was last week. That was the protest at Dandenong.
Yeah.
Did you get down to Ballarat to follow up on that arrest that we saw only the other day?
No, I haven't been to Ballarat yet. I was reporting on another story yesterday. I'll get to Ballarat, but another COVID-related story where the tragedy of St. Basil's nursing home, where a lot of...
reared its ugly head again?
Well, yeah.
Another story, another episode from that?
Another episode, not so much to do with St. Basil's. Well, it kind of is. A lot of the people...
related to St. Basil's?
Yeah, sadly, a lot of the elderly residents there got shipped off to a private hospital.
Okay. Was this one of the assigned COVID hospitals to look after those who were suffering with COVID?
Yeah, it was. This hospital was put in sort of a bit of a tricky situation. They were asked, look, we've got a lot of COVID positive patients.
They need beds.
Can you help us? Can you help us out? So they've said, yeah, we'll. So
they've done the right thing and gone in. So what's the story?
Correct. So the story is that not everyone who went to that hospital actually had COVID,
and so they weren't COVID positive, not all of them.
Yeah, and there's some issues about that as well, because obviously the people who didn't have COVID, their families are saying, well, why are they going to this? You're setting them up to die, it's a very contagious virus. My elderly mum doesn't have COVID. Why put her there? That's another story.
Correct.
What's happened though, happened last month, and it's just been revealed, is that at least one person that we know of was signed off on a death certificate as dying of COVID, who did not die of COVID. And of course, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around this
This plays straight into those hands, doesn't it?
Well, exactly right. I mean, it is confirmed.
And we had during the week the reassessment by the minister, or the government said that there were 22 extra numbers that weren't really COVID, or they were COVID, and they've had to do a change of tallies to bring everything so-called to be more in line with what's gone on. Does this play straight into that? And does it open more questions as to how many others have been assigned, dead from COVID, and it wasn't the case?
Well, that's right. We don't really know. We know that there's one. The hospital says it was a mistake. The mistake was found out when the family were of a certain... Well, they were from a certain religion who wanted to have an open casket. And under COVID, I mean, it's another sort of shocking within itself that if you die of COVID, you have to be put in a bag, and that's the way you get buried. So this family, of course, said, no, she didn't die of COVID.
Right.
We're not going to accept this
And we're
certificate.
going to have the open coffin.
Correct.
So this is where the stories come from.
So they've complained to the hospital and said, hang on, my mum didn't die of COVID. And the doctors sort of scratched his head and gone, oh, sorry, I thought everyone here died of COVID.
So it was an assumption.
Yeah, it was an
Oh my God.
it was an assumption. So, I mean, this is one hospital. There's, of course, many. There's a lot of hospitals taking COVID, elderly COVID
where
people.
does where does the story lie at the moment?
Well, the story lies at the moment that she got 2 death certificates, which both went off to the coroner. How that particular death is being classed, whether it's part of the 570 or what that we have at the moment or not.
Yeah, 591, I think it is.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's gone up. Yeah, I don't know, but it sort of ends there at the moment, and it just adds fuel to the fire of the conspiracy. Of course, we've got people planning to march this weekend, and the police are working furiously to stop this protest, which is what you were alluding to earlier from the woman in Ballarat, who, of course, was filmed being arrested for putting a post on Facebook promoting this
yes,
gathering.
she had the temerity or the smarts to live stream the moment she was being arrested. And all of it has gone to air, or just about all of it. And you can see the authorities making their way into the house. You can hear someone talking off camera, whether it's a partner, whether it's a husband, or I'm not so sure, and saying, what are you doing? Do you know she's pregnant? This, that and the other. Clearly, this is not how we behave in Australia. And of course, they've taken her away. Yeah,
and you've got to wonder what vision like this does to the community. Everyone, traditionally had been supporting police, supportive of the, the restrictions. We've all got to do our bit. But as we're continuing to see more and more of what, really appears to be this heavy-handed sort of tactics to,
I just want to say, though, that I think the men and women in blue have been put in a very difficult situation. They've got a job to do on one level, and they're being asked to do things that no one imagined they would have to do. And the optics, without a doubt, are just crazy. But how they're doing and what they're doing is going to be under scrutiny each and every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. The rank and file officers on the street have been put in a terrible situation.
And also in harm's way.
They've been put in harm's way. They're dealing with ordinary Victorians at the end of their tether, and and they've got to follow their orders, and they're going out and following the orders. And look, some officers have got caught up in the heat at the moment. Like I said, the capsicum spraying. High command will be looking at that. But it's a terrible scene, and I don't know whether it's doing Victoria Police any good. And particularly, we had one of the chiefs out the other day calling protesters tinfoil hat wearing buff heads. I mean, and this was on a day where his own officers had to go and deal with people going for a walk down at Dandenong. That very sort of dicey situation, and I'm sure they would have been thinking, why did he say that?
Yes, it almost puts the state of Victoria, makes it a laughing stock for the rest of the country.
Yeah.
The man from the Daily Mail, as you've heard, been busy. He's been covering an array of different topics. If you want to find out any more, either watch us on The Informer, follow us on The Informer, or indeed grab yourself a copy of the Daily Mail.